I want to talk about choice, about free will, and about the replacing of old habits that you want to get rid of with habits that you want to implement. Habits that are soul draining, exchanged, replaced for and by habits that are soul amplifying, soul uplifting, soul nourishing. This is a video that's coming up about 2-3 weeks into the new year. A time of new beginnings. And January is named after Janus, the two-faced god, Roman god of new beginnings. It's something I've discovered recently. So a lot of people have begun the year declaring their choice to renounce whatever habits, whatever behavior that they know deep in their soul and deep in their heart that they want to renounce, and to replace it with something more uplifting, more beautiful, more divinely aligned. I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to make that business. I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes. I'm going to stop scrolling on my phone so much. I'm going to write a book. Whatever it might be. So first off, this is an invitation to check in where you're at with your choices and your commitments to yourself this year. Have you been committed to your choices? Or have you fallen back into old ways? No judgment. I'm not even there to judge you. It's a question for you and you alone. The point I'm trying to get at is that when you make a choice, like many people made, billions of people made at the beginning of this Gregorian year, and you commit yourself to that choice, the reality of that choice depends wholly upon how committed you are to cultivating that choice, to choosing to cultivate that choice within your life. What does that mean? It means that every single day is an opportunity to choose. If you're releasing an old habit and replacing it for a new one, the old habit is going to come present itself and it's going to say, hey, I would like to remain within your reality. And then your sovereign will and your soul have to decide. Am I going to succumb to the temptation of these choices which I once made? And of the energetic ripples that those choices created in my life. The habituation, the patterns, the addictions, the repetitive behaviors that have ingrained themselves within your reality, your existence, and your being. When you commit yourself to making a new choice, on one hand, you're going to be presented with the temptation to go back to your old ways. And on the other hand, you're going to be faced with the challenge of actually daily making the choice to which you've committed yourself. So I'm in the process of committing myself to the choice of writing every day. And oftentimes throughout my life, one of the reasons that I find myself not writing is because I'm spending too much time on Instagram or YouTube or social media, things like that. So daily, I face that old pattern that I'm renouncing of scrolling for scrolling's sake, watching YouTube videos, just because it's what I did for such a long time. And when I say such a long time, I mean I started when I was a child. So it runs deep. And for example, today I went and planted raspberries and did work on the farm. And come 6 p.m., I'm done working. And in the past, when I'd be done working, it's like, okay, immediately just kind of like, I'm tired. I'm going to watch some YouTube videos to relax, which is ridiculous. Here I am on YouTube. So as I come home, I might face the temptation to just like, oh, I'll watch a YouTube video or two. Or I can choose to write. And specifically when you feel that temptation to be drawn towards the old patterns, those are some of the most important moments to choose the alternative with which you've replaced your old pattern. So in this case, I didn't particularly feel tempted today, but there are some days where I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'd like to watch YouTube videos. And those moments are choice points between my old self and the self I wish to choose to create. And it is a choice point wherein I demonstrate my commitment and my devotion to myself, to my integrity with myself, to my commitment to myself, to my honesty with myself. Because I told myself that I am committed to writing more and to scroll less. So if I feel the temptation to scroll and I choose to write, then I am standing in integrity with the commitment which I've made to myself. I hope I'm not getting too deep in the mind here. You probably get the point. The point is choosing a new habit, choosing a new behavior, choosing your soul's expansion is something that needs to be cultivated. And it needs to meet the challenges of all of the resistance that is going to come from making that commitment. And each time, and it doesn't have to be perfect necessarily, but each time that the temptations to fall away from that choice to change, each time the temptations come, you say no. And in saying no, you also say yes to something else. So hopefully I haven't digressed too long on that, because now I'm clicking into what I really wanted to say about this. So what I really wanted to say about this is that when you truly commit yourself to a choice and you really prayerfully, soulfully, like actually devote yourself by way of a vow, by way of determination, by way of truly feeling the truth which you wish to choose. When you commit yourself to such a choice, then reality will begin to align itself to the support of that choice. What do I mean by this? How committed are you to your choice when you express your desire to bring that choice into being? That's the question. And the answer is not one of mind. The answer is not one that is spoken. As I ask you, how committed are you to your own choices? Maybe if you comment, I'll read it. But I won't know if it's true. You're the only person who actually has the answer. And saying how committed you are doesn't actually mean anything in face of doing, of embodying that commitment to yourself. And that is what free will is. Free will is that ability to make and to speak and to intentionalize a choice. I don't know if intentionalize is a word, but it is now. And then to choose to embody it and bring it into reality. Create it. For we are creator beings, created by the Creator himself, God himself. And every single choice that you make contains that creative element within it. Every choice you make co-creates the reality in which you live and dwell. The question is, how conscious is the choice? And how close is it to God and to what God wants for you? And how close is it to the purpose of your soul? How soulfully did you make your choice? If you zoom out enough, the mind can't comprehend it, but the soul has made every choice, and God has made every choice already. So do we actually have free will? Yes. It doesn't make sense, but we do. Listen, I'm just going to put it in a parenthesis, there are infinite timelines. Every choice is a bifurcation between timelines. And you have chosen all the timelines all at once. And when you are making a choice in any moment, you are choosing which one you want to experience in that moment. So, close parenthesis. The question is, which timeline do you want to choose? Which reality do you want to choose? Which reality do you want to create and co-create with God and other divinely created beings? What reality do we want to co-create together? Because when it ripples out, when every choice ripples out macrocosmically at the societal level, we create civilization. How do we want to orient civilization? Well, you might say, I'm just one person. My choices don't impact the whole. My brother in Christ, you are the whole, embodied as a part. You are the universal, particularized as an instantiation of divine will. Perhaps I'm digressing. The reason that I'm digressing is to reiterate the importance of your commitments to yourself, and to emphasize that commitment to yourself is not just to yourself. It is to reality itself. It is to all relations. It is to your kin. It is to all of humanity. It is to all the animals. It is to all the spirits. It is to God. It is to all beings in the universe. When you really zoom out enough, everything is interconnected. So if you're choosing your old habits of self-negation, of victimhood, of self-destruction, of letting reality choose for you, well, that choice ripples out. And then we end up with a society that is broken and in pain, and might I even say, laden with evil and corruption. All stemming not purely and entirely, but at the very least partially, from every single time that you or I speak a desire to make a choice, say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop scrolling, and then going and doing the very thing that we said we're going to stop doing. Saying, I am going to do something, and then not doing it. Which is actually a lie. It is self-deceit. It is deceit. And it is thus the essence of the deceiver. Which we are choosing when we do not commit to the choices which we want ourselves to make, ripples out into reality in the form of deception. Now, I'm not expressing that we are all perfect beings, nor that I am. What I am expressing is that okay, first off, before I get into that, I do believe that compassion and forgiveness are in order and they are necessary when battling self-deception with the power of will and love to heal and restore self and world to wholeness and to unison with God. It cannot simply be this rigid, like, wow, I really went for that one. Rigid, disciplined, like hard, and even mean. There's a word I'm looking for. I'm getting to the end here. That hard rigidity is not the only solution, and it's not the end of the world when, as you're in the process of renouncing self-deception and transmuting it into choosing your soul and God and truth and alignment and freedom, it's about committing yourself to cultivating all that is true, sovereign, free, divine, and to lessen the times of self-deception until they wither away. And if and when you find yourself kind of falling back into the old patterns, those are the times when you do not want to respond to yourself with self-hatred and beating yourself up for making a mistake. Those are the times to remember your commitment, forgive yourself, give yourself care, love, and compassion, and then find that part of you that fell back into that choice. What part of you made you susceptible to your falling, so to speak? And then nourish that part of yourself with love. Fill it with love and heal it with love. However self-love and self-care and self-compassion look. And then, so that's one side, and the other side is return to the commitment and the rigidity and the discipline of like, okay, now I will continue to say no to this choice, and I will say yes to the choice that is alchemizing it. The final thing I'll say, I've already said that when you commit yourself to a choice, the more you actually choose that choice, the easier it becomes. And the easier it is to say no to the old habits which once had such a hold on you. And the easier it is to cultivate and to practice the choice which you're now making on a day-to-day basis. This is just simple habit building. What I want to say is that reality itself is then going to present its mirrors to test you on one hand, but also to support you in the making of the choices which you're choosing to make. And the more that you make that choice, the more synchronicity and magic will reward you with the rippling and mirroring fruits of that choice. Every choice is a seed, and there are weeds trying to take over your garden. You pull the weeds, you let the seed grow, and eventually you have fruit. And the fruits are sweet, are divine, are miraculous. When you truly allow yourself to walk upon the breaths of your soul, which you have breathed in saying, I want to choose this, I choose this. I choose the reality of my soul's expansion. You breathe that. This is literal breath, language breath. And now you choose to walk upon the power and the potency of that breath, which is the miraculous essence of God, which has been breathed into you. Then that will magnetize the reflections of that breath. It will attract like energy. It will attract things, people, beings, manifestations, which are in resonance with that divine breath and in reciprocity with that breath, breathing the same breath together and co-creating the world. So, how committed are you to your choices? And how consciously are you living out the ripples of your choice? The answer is in your hands, in your heart, in your mind, in your body, in your soul, and in the ways in which you move through the world. May your choices be blessed. May your choices guide you to God and to your soul's expansion. Thank you. Blessings.